Welcome back. This is Still Breakfast Extra. The United States' recent shift in visa policy has triggered a storm of uncertainty for Nigeria's seafarers. At the heart of the matter is the C-1D visa, a document traditionally issued as a one-year multiple-entry visa, allowing airline and ship crew members to transit, board vessels, and keep global trade running smoothly. Now reclassified as a single-entry visa, the change drastically limits the ability to work, effectively threatening livelihoods across Nigeria's maritime workforce. For a country like Nigeria, where seafarers are not only vital to international commerce, but also critical breadwinners for their families, this policy has landed like an anchor of despair. Unable to guarantee multiple entries, seafarers are watching contracts slip through their fingers. Employers are turning elsewhere, and what was once a pathway to steady work is quickly collapsing into economic hardship. Petitions have already been sent to the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but for many, time is running out.
So to unpack this unfolding crisis, we're joined by, we will be joined by a couple more voices, but currently we have Mr. Olanipekun Oladimeji. He's a professional seafarer navigating the storm firsthand. Olanipekun, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here this morning. Let's talk about these issues. What kind of visa restrictions are seafarers experiencing, and how exactly is it affecting their jobs, their families, their lives?
Thank you very much for having me. Once again, my name is Olanipekun Oladimeji. Presently, the U.S. government made the visa, like we are seafarers, we are using C-1D visa actually to transit into the U.S. And presently, that was July, there was a policy that was issued by the U.S. government that the C-1D visa, which used to be 2 years multiple entry, they make it 3 months for 14 African countries, which is really which has affected a lot of Nigerian seafarers. Has affected a lot of Nigerian seafarers. 3 months single entry. Our contract on cruise ship used to be 6 months, some 9 months upward. But to our surprise, to our greatest surprise, it was said that the visa would be 3 months single entry, which our companies that we're working with said, okay, if that is the case, this cannot work. That is a government to government thing, that we should go back to our own country and relay with our governments if peradventure they can have an agreement with the U.S. government for them to revise the visa policy, the new visa policy, which is the reciprocity, 3-month reciprocity, which is not in favor of the seafarers at all working in the U.S. waters.
All right, Olanipekun, thank you very much for giving us that overview of what's going on. Now, how exactly does this affect your job? Is it that because of the restriction, you're unable to stay longer on cruise ships, or rather on ships, rather, or offshore? Does this include your entry into countries?
Actually, it does not restrict us from entering the country. What it does is that, what this means is that we can only stay in US for only 3 months.
Okay.
Which the company requirement is at least 1 year multiple entry.
Okay.
Because of the duration of our contracts on board.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you very much. Now, I'm being told that we're joined by 2 other guests.
Yes, we have Jeremiah Emmanuel, who's an electrical engineer advocating on behalf of his colleagues. And also we have Paul Honorio de a waiter whose work also ties into the broader maritime workforce. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning.
So let me ask Paul. So Paul, we are very interested in this issue right here, and it's very interesting to know that this is something that has been overlooked from before. Now, who's responsible on the Nigerian side for these kinds of policies? Where do employees like you and your lot, where do you go at the end of the day when you have these kinds of issues with visa restrictions?
Good question. So when it regards to visa restrictions and the stuff, we have not been having a representative so far in that department due to more of the job has been more of a one-on-one with the company via the internet, in the sense of the interviews and how the companies get to reach out to you. They reach out via emails and all the rest. So we have really not have any representative on this department when it comes to seafarers at large in the international borders. I hope that answers the question.
But is there a union of sorts at all?
Not at all. Not that I know of. Probably that would be the best answer to say.
Paul, my question to you would be that now that we have this situation, and I know that a lot of people were talking that maybe the restrictions are coming from people actually having these visas and not coming back or going back to their home country when their visa expires. What's your take on that, Paul? Do you think that's the major reason this is happening?
It's a yes or a no, because due to my well-known understanding, the companies do have what we call the agreements with the American government, in a sense, when it comes to, because we get to do, there's what you call the 29 days checkmate with the CBP. So the CBP is the American border, that they get to take some numbers of people out of the ship to check that they are still online with their visa policies. And also, most of the time when those, for example, those that have just been employed for their first contract, when they are done with their first contract, they have been escorted by securities to the, let's say, to the airport to make sure that they stay aligned under the documentations agreement with the American government. So also, we do have what we call this I-95. So I think that was a few years back, some few people that were first contract were not eligible to have that I-95, which is like a document that allows you to just go out of port in the US for some few hours to get some itineraries that might be needed. But some were not allowed to be given that. So there is that control that the company does their best to make sure that they control that part for each and everybody to align and stay within their visa policies.
Okay. We also have Jeremiah Ibrahim. Jeremiah, thank you very much for joining. You are at the forefront of advocacy, so I'm wondering exactly whom have you spoken with when it comes to speaking with the authority, and what reactions have you gotten back from these authorities?
Thank you. We've written a petition to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs about this. We've also written a petition to NIMASA. NIMASA is the Nigerian in charge of maritime in Nigeria, Nigeria Maritime and Safety Agency. Then we've written also to Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sani Bello, and we also wrote to Minister in charge of Maritime Transport, and the Senator in charge of Maritime Transport, and the Senator in charge of Foreign Affairs. Then we wrote to the U.S. Embassy in Abuja, listing our concerns, because this issue they were talking about, overstaying of visa, security concern, and fake documents. And we told them that we seafarers, we don't overstay our visa. We go, we do our jobs, and we come back. Fake documents, the companies, they verify all our documents before employing us. And also, when it comes to security concern, we did a lot of background checks. And the company did a lot of background check, and even police reports. We had to submit police report to them before they employed us.
So, Jeremiah, can you give us a list of people that this affects? Now, does it affect just cruise ship workers or employees? Does it affect people in the oil and gas sector as well who might have the same kind of pattern of work that you do? Who, in what kind of sectors does it affect?
It affects all seafarers that need to go and work in the Caribbean or in the U.S. that need to transit through the U.S. Cruise ship and any ship calling in U.S. ports, because since September 11 attack, they introduced the C1D visa. Any ship calling in the U.S. port, even tankers and containers, the seafarers, they need to have this C1D visa. So anyone calling to the U.S. ports, any ship in U.S. or even if offshore, they need to have the visa, so it's affecting everyone.
Okay, so what reaction did you get from the authorities upon the letters that you have sent to them?
We've not gotten any reply yet. We are still waiting for their response.
Okay, now, I'm going to come back to, let's see, that's Paul Honoré there. Now, Paul, your job would take you out of Nigeria for extensive periods of time, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what would happen? Give us an example of what would happen if your visa was to expire while you're on the job.
That almost never happens, in the sense of before you embark on any time frame of your contract, the company requires that your what is it called? Your visa is above a year. And most of the contracts are within 6 to 8 months, and the maximums are your 10 months contract. So literally you are still within the time frame of your visa. So the company requires a year and above. So you almost or never you're not on board while your visa gets to expire. That never happens, because that is the requirement from the company that your document is a year and above.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
So, Olanipekun, let me ask you this, like from your perspective, what risk does this pose not only for the Nigerian workers, but also for the international shipping industries that rely on manpower from here?
It simply means there will be a lot of job losses, and the manpower will definitely be reduced, though there are a lot of workers like our counterparts in Zimbabwe. Their governments reviewed this policy and they are back to normal. So we are just pleading on Nigerian government to please assist the Nigerian seafarers. But definitely there will be a lot of loss of job and reduction in manpower on board the vessels that the seafarers are working.
So do you think the Nigerian party, do you think that your government, the Nigerian government, is actually paying attention to the seafarers at all? Can you compare the reaction you're getting from the Nigerian government towards your counterparts? I think, what was the country you mentioned now? What country was that? Your Zimbabwean counterparts.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Zimbabwe.
Can you compare the kind of reaction you're getting to the kind they got from their authorities?
Like Jeremiah said, we are still awaiting response from them. We've submitted the petition to all the parties that are involved, the Nigeria Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the U.S. Embassy, the minister. So we are still waiting on them for a positive response.
Okay, then. Go ahead, please.
And we are hoping that they improve for us, because most of us, most of the seafarers working on, most of the seafarers that are affected are actually the breadwinner of their families. So we are hoping, and we hope something will come from.
Okay, so, sorry. Ido, you mentioned that your Zimbabwean colleagues have been sorted. When you spoke to them, how long did it take for their government to help them sort this out? Do you have an idea of the time frame it took?
Actually, from the follow-up we're doing, because we have list of countries that are affected, from the follow-ups we have been doing, I think it took them about 3 to 4 weeks for their government to respond, and the visa was reversed to 2 years.
Okay, and how long?
Multiple entry.
And how long have the Nigerian seafarers been waiting for a reaction from the government?
We submitted the petition last week, so I think last week, Thursday or Friday. So we are hoping that this week, at the resumption of work, we'll get a positive response from them.
Okay. Jeremiah, apart from petitions, what other methods are being explored here to try and get the attention of the authorities?
So we are doing media publications. That's what we are doing now. After the petition, we are trying to do media publication to call their notice to it, because this is very devastating.
Okay, then. Well, gentlemen, we will continue to monitor this situation, and we hope that there is indeed some attention that is brought to your plight. We hope that the authorities are actually watching, and hopefully, maybe by this week, they will get a response over to you guys. But we also have, what we're going to be playing now is a report by one of our correspondents regarding the visa restrictions that we have been experiencing from Nigeria, or here in Nigeria, that have been put in place by the U.S. But gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this discussion, and we'll continue to monitor your situation. Thank you very much.